Well, folks, all good things must come to an end, and that's why we must wrap up today with the final matchup. Unemployment taking on Vipers. Forceful Unemployment actually does have a lot to fight for right now. They are on the cusp, or just above the cusp, of that relegation position. They're currently sitting in 8th above Aqualix.
Actually, I believe they are in last place now because Oculix won today. So with that,
right.
Unemployment is in the relegation spot. This is not a spot that they probably envisioned themselves being at the beginning of this year. This is definitely a game that's important for them to kind of dig themselves out of this hole and maybe put a team like One Shot or maybe even Oculix down the road back in that position. Overall, it just hasn't been a really good stage. Not really performing at the standard that we expect of Challenger League teams. They have only one win all stage, and it was on Clubhouse where Karn powered up, so that's why he's my highlight player.
And then moving over to the other side of Vipers, they actually had a very impressive win yesterday over Favelas. RTV, Reality TV, they beat them at 7-3, the Favelas, just before this. Well, Vipers beat them 7-2. So
does that mean that they're better?
That's how math does.
I think the law of equivalency just says they're better.
Yeah, they might just be better. I mean, you look at this team and you should think, hey, yeah, they're pretty good. Papa P, we always talk about Poison. He's the big brain. He's just the better version of Karn, right? Ha ha ha. Filthy Creators, Maxily Twist. Twist, he was on that old FBL Queens roster. He almost made it to the league. He was dumpstering the SI dreams of all these pro league rosters. Maxily, middly. He actually had a very good game after dropping a ridiculous twit longer. That was a joke, but, just could have been perceived as not. As well as Filthy and Creators do have pro league experience, so you expect them to be bringing that heat, bringing that overall kind of veteran leadership to this team, and really molding the young players into better overall prospects.
Now, the fire that Unemployment must be feeling underneath them right now, Tanner, you'd have to hope that take it in a good way, like use this opportunity to be like, look, this is something to spark us and move us ahead, rather than they feel like the candle's burning at both ends.
I mean, as a coach, this is the kind of opportunity that kind of makes or breaks diamonds. When you see your team in the rut like this and you see what needs to happen, what needs to improve, just the smallest spark of passion or just a small win could really ignite a big fire under their butts and get them going in the right direction. I think if they're going to have to do that today, they need to tighten up on their drone work. It's been their number one issue, I think, throughout this stage. They haven't really been able to get solid info. They're getting absolutely picked apart by rat plays. If your drone work's not that great, let's try and compensate. Bring things like Jackal, bring things like Dokkaebi, things that are going to get you that info. And then if I was their coach, the biggest thing is we need to tighten up on our wet noodle defenses. We just need to get our trades in position. We need to make sure we're playing with each other. Try not to get too creative, and don't just turret. One of the big issues Unemployment have on their defensive half is they just turret. And what do I mean by that? They stand still and they just look from direction to direction. They're not really paying attention to what's going on around them. They're not very fluid on what they need to do. So I would encourage them, work in pairs, try to make plays, try to be tradable, and try to bring a more dynamic defensive half to this game, and they might have a chance versus Vipers.
Well, Vipers may not have that same fire underneath them for this matchup, but this has kind of been the tone of the day, Connor. We talked about it at the very beginning. All these players have a reason to show off. People are looking, people recognize what guys do in these games.
Yeah, and especially with how Vipers have played, especially on their defensive side, things have definitely looked brighter, especially if you go back to just yesterday, where Maxily and Creators on the roam looked like, I don't know, Jordan and Pippen in their prime. It was ridiculous. Just two people shutting down an entire 5-man roster from entering Clubhouse of all maps was a spectacle to be seen. And when you go against a team like Unemployment, 26% attacking win rate, by the way, you hope that your defenses being kind of loose and free-flowing should, once again, kind of let things get on the right path, especially when Unemployment is also struggling on that attacking entry, kind of a low entry percentage, not a great conversion rate. And where Vipers, kind of their only strength so far has been their defensive side, it seems like a good matchup on paper. And what we saw yesterday from Creators, particularly on the attack, kind of being that mid-round kind of stalemate breaker, was really good for the Vipers. They have struggled a lot on attacks at this stage. It's kind of where they've been losing their games, but yesterday they actually looked pretty competent. And if you give support to creators, you kind of give him the open range just a little bit to, hey, it's a 3v3. Let's just send him into sight. Let's see if he sees something and acts upon it. That's where we can see just unemployment get decimated by this Vipers roster.
Well, every good match needs a setting, Connor. We need to figure out, what the vibe, what the energy is going to be like.
Between these two teams, it seems a little bit telegraphed. Both teams kind of, it's either going to be like a theme park or an Oregon. Be my predictions. The theme park goes down by Vipers, which is interesting. First time that they've banned that map this stage. In the Villa from unemployment, they didn't look that great. And was also about to, I know what you were hooting and ahhing about.
What am I hooting and ahhing about?
You were saying that the Clubhouse was still on the board going to the decider. And I am so proud of the support staff and players of Vipers to not make the mistake that our former Stage 2 champions, Aqualix, were to make in taking Karn & Co., unemployment, whatever you want to call them, ex-Livid, taking them to Clubhouse. Don't do it. They didn't do it. They did a slightly bigger step up and brought them to Oregon instead.
Well, I know that we're not too far away from the game, so we'll keep this short and sweet. What are your predictions for this matchup, Tanner, other than the obvious, what your basic vote is, but how do you see this matchup going down, especially now that we know that it's on Oregon?
I think this is going to be a lot closer a game than the predictions are kind of giving away here. I know unemployment hasn't really had the best stage. I know I've been very critical of them, especially throughout the stage. But the big thing is on a map like Oregon or Clubhouse that is an equalizer map, and things are very simple. Those are the maps where this team tends to typically do a lot better. It's where their turret playstyle, kind of like I was saying they shouldn't do, might actually benefit them unless they're on the top floor of Oregon, which you don't want to get naded from below, so don't turret. But for the most part, this is a map that was playing structured, playing like very methodically on your defensive half is to their benefit. So this could go either way. I see something like a 7-4, 7-5 for the side of Vipers still, but it's going to be a lot more competitive of a match than the predictions are showing right now.
Connor, you're looking very straight-faced there, as if you have something stoic to bestow upon us. Am I correct?
I agree.
There's a first.
Thank you
Write that
so
down,
much.
Brim, write that down.
But if unemployment were to pull this off, what is that going to look like, that picture for them? Is it a fact of tightening things up or playing more loose or what have you?
It's going to just require a couple of players to step up on their team. Right now, we've seen Whitlock on the entry ops not really doing a whole lot, as well as Mikey seemingly just continuing to struggle since he's been taking off entry and going more towards a flex support, kind of locking the Nomad and the Osa and stuff like that. And overall, you need at least two players to pop off. All we've seen this stage is sometimes Trawl will have a good round, and kind of Brios is finally coming into himself on his rookie season. But you're going to need multiple people. You're going to need to actually have Whitlock as well as Brios popping up on the entry, trying to get that early aggression. Plus, you're just going to get slaughtered by Vipers who are just going to coil up and, constrict you out. I know that's what Vipers don't do that. They don't constrict, but like they just bite. But like snake joke. We're just going to leave it at snake joke.
Tanner, this has been an uphill battle for unemployment so far this year. We really thought that this stage, considering that they would have their roster together, we talk about the names on the roster, we talk about how well that they have done at times individually, and we thought this would be the stage for the comeback, playing together consistently. But as of yet, we just haven't seen that synergistic play yet.
I mean, I think it really comes down to why this hasn't really been a team that has formed the way they want, is they haven't really been able to snag the roster players that they want. All the players that you would build a foundation around keep getting snagged by other teams, and they end up like this farm team that keeps getting farmed out to better teams. You see Hack going over to Aqualix is a prime example of that. That might have been a player that if I was building a roster with them, I would have liked to have kept and maybe bolster up the other players or moved up different pieces of our puzzle. But when you're being forced into this position time in and time out, it's really hard to actually sit down and build a team stage to stage. So for this reason alone, I think that's why unemployment's been bottom of the barrel is they're not getting the pieces that they want, and the pieces that they do get that they want to keep don't stay.
Well, it's time to put up or shut up. We are going to Oregon for the final matchup of the day, Unemployment taking on Vipers.
All right, the final match of the day. Ending with a bit of a bang here, mostly because I have no idea what to expect, even after listening to the desk. Carter, I gotta say, this one is still a toss-up for me.
That's what I have to say.
Nothing.
No, I mean like
to
it's,
work with here, buddy. Come
listen,
on.
I don't want to be mean. Like, you know, it's been there've been a lot of games today, okay, of varying quality. But I don't think a lot of us have a lot of hopes in this game in particular, especially now that it's on Oregon. But what I will say this, okay?
What are you gonna say?
I got a good feeling about Unemployment. I have a good feeling. It's Oregon. It's not exactly the same as Club. Sure, Unemployment have struggled on the entry game. This is a map that is very played out. I think they might have a good shot at getting some rounds over Vipers that they maybe shouldn't be able to. I don't know. I got a good feeling. It's a normal map. Not a lot going on. I feel like in this kind of arena, things could work out. That's what I'm going to say. Wasn't a lot of an analysis there, mostly just vibes, if I'm being totally
You know
honest.
what? I will add to that, and I'm gonna say, I've got a feeling.
Do you?
Ooh, that tonight's gonna be a good night.
I'm going to roundhouse kick you to Mars.
You know, sometimes you gotta bring it out.
You know, like those
Sometimes you
fight
gotta bring
videos
it
you see on Reddit and some dude just busts out like the greatest heel kick you've ever seen? Like,
Yeah, is that what you're gonna do?
that's going to be me next time I see you after that one.
All
Just
right,
like,
good to know. Good to know. Well,
might be 5'6", but I'm a karate master.
I will keep that in mind, and I will hide and run from you. But back to the matter at hand. We've got our bans completed. We've got our standard Oregon lineup here, and much like our Oregon game earlier, right, we still have our Ying left on the board. So gotta keep an eye on Vipers early on to see if that's something they want to bring out. Also of note, the Hibana is left up. We had the Nook and Thatcher combo instead of the more traditional Hibana and Thatcher combo during that operator ban phase. So Twist will be running the Hibana early, and that just means that this attacking team and, well, Unemployment, when they switch halves, will have so many more options when it comes to how they want to approach each and every objective. And especially on this basement site, that's where you're going to see those X-Kairos pellets come into effect early on, because you've got so many hatches, so many different areas to open up from range, and that's what Hibana is good for.
Always the benefit of that Hibana. That ranged breach, you don't have to commit as much as opposed to, say, a Thermite. And you can always have just a lot of X-Kairos to deal with all of those hatches with on Oregon. Or, like the maximal example, Bank, like 5 hatches if you want to attack basement. Always a great operator to have. What I want to see from Vipers right now, though, how's this early round going to go? We saw quite a few cutoff drones placed over by Showers and Creators. They'll build off of that. They know the Mute Jammer is there. They saw Mikey move into Showers, put it down, and move back out. So he moves in quick, deals with the Jammer. He's taken this control very quickly in the first 45 seconds. That's step 1 I wanted to see, Jonah. Now, how are they going to deal with Brios? How are they going to clear out this security player, which, of course, is Brios? They've got a set of nades, sure. But if they're going to take gunfights, I don't know. It'd be a bit tricky.
Well, there's the opener. It's going to be Filthy onto Tra to kick things off. Poison as well is going to get into the next scuffle here down below in Kitchen as he tries to clear out the remainder of this defensive presence. With that top floor dealt with, of course, this first floor is going to be their next focus. I imagine you'll likely get Filthy involved to try to help that. And now that you've got your Jackal in play, you've got Maxley joining you, this should be at least pretty quick to spot and force these remaining roamers out, and that's exactly what we're gonna see happening now. All 4 of these defenders have felt the pressure and have rotated back to the site below, and that means that Vipers can cleanly move throughout this first floor and, well, make sure that they get every hatch open, every entryway into the site opened wide.
This is looking like a solid game plan for Unemployment right now. They got 3 toxic canisters, a smoke grenade, And on the side of Vipers, a lot of these hatches are already open, to be fair, so it'd be time you could have relied on that Vipers would spend hard breaching you can't count on. But they're lacking in nades. Only one for Filthy right now. So maybe trying to clear out a player in Showers Hall or in the long hall next to Showers. You can see that Whitlock and Brios are playing in right now. Not going to be as easy. Or even Karn playing inside of Elbow. A lot of these positions, once Filthy uses that nade, will have to be taken by gunfights. But Karn, he gets aggressive and instead gives, well, a 5v3 to Vipers as we now move past 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Whitlock's the next player here that's really going to feel that pressure right on cue. It's Creators who steps up and lines up a lovely little double kill for him. Maxley to close out the round with a flawless title. What a way to go to finish off this first one. Oregon starting off with a bang for Vipers Esports. That's exactly how they want to begin.
All right, well, that didn't really go how I thought it was going to go, Jonah. It's because I talked about it. I was like, oh, Filthy's only got one nade. A singular nade, Jonah.
Didn't matter.
And then you got Karn swinging elbow. For some reason. I'm not entirely sure. They're in a 4v5. I know they got to get aggressive, but you're taking a 1v1 inside a bunker, holding a key position as well. He's got to push in. Wait till he does. It's 30 seconds left. Vipers are still struggling to push into the site. Whitlock and the other two long haul players are just asleep at the wheel. I think they're maybe expecting a Showers play, and all of a sudden it's back tower, but it seemed like Unemployment getting a little too aggressive in some places, and then just not even being a turret like Tanner talked about, just being, well, a disabled turret maybe, like EMP, I don't know. Like the wires weren't connected? I don't know.
Suppose that works. Just Unemployment, yeah, now they've got to change it up. Flawless. It's what Vipers were able to secure in the first. You don't want to get flawless again, especially if you can do anything about it. Mikey's going to be switching things up here, and I already like this adjustment, bringing out the Azami.
I do as well.
Love the Kiva barriers and how they change up the rhythm of, honestly, the entire site. They're also going to aid Brios in getting the opener onto Maxley there. A fantastic start. He's got those Kiva barriers around his position to support his lurk over in kitchen, over in dining. And while he is able to get one, the pressure from up top becomes a little bit too much for the Aruni to handle. And Brios will fall, so it ends up going 1-for-1.
That's a solid trade for Unemployment to make, though. The Aruni's already placed for gadgets, and in exchange, you take down Maxley, one of the more, at least, aggressive operators. Potentially one of the more aggressive players, depending on how Vipers wants to use Maxley in that round. No concussive lifelines to burn the ADSs. No destructive lifelines to burn, well, the shield, the Kiva barriers. A lot of the bulletproof utility that Unemployment are bringing. They were already struggling for nades before. They have compensated for that a little bit. Filthy hasn't used any, and Creators on the Flores makes that Zofia pick. You know, if it happened last round, it'd be crazy. This round, there's still a lot that Vipers have to mitigate that loss of the Zofia. They also have a little bit more time as well, as Rios died. Unemployment weren't able to keep them guessing for a long time. So Vipers, they might be maybe in the same spot that they were before, a little bit earlier on. This time, they have a lot of utility as well in the 4v4. They're able to get one more pick, Jonah. I think they should be able to make this round go their way.
Well, some good utility usage on the side of Vipers will make at least getting kills for them a little bit easier. Got a couple more avenues to now work their way into the site to establish this crossfire on this front side of the objective, which looks like to be their plan here. Mikey, it looked like he was going to be forced back, but he is still lurking around this freezer door, not eager to give up this control as long as he can help it, but he's got to be careful with some nades. Some flashes are coming his way. He's going to get taken care of clean up right after Twist just makes the move. Tra will get one back, but it's Vipers rolling in, and this 3v2 looking pretty good right now, but Karn's still up. Tra's still up. They had full HP until a moment ago, but Tra is feeling the pressure. Has a chance here to line them up, but can't do it. It's Twist to get one, but Karn strikes back in a big way. Just like that, Unemployment are now favored here. Karn with a triple kill to finish off the round, and just like that, Karn puts the team on his back, and we're all tied up. Jeez.
I was literally about to make a joke about him being old, and then he just said it in chat. Good work, Karn. Glad you have a sense of humor. Unfortunate that Traum misses that shot there. I honestly thought the round was over when that was going to happen. But Karn is able to spray down 2 people, well, with 1 spray, end up winning that round for unemployment. And that comes after a Viper's attack that I said that if they got 1 more kill, I think it could work. I thought maybe one of those kills would come from a nade. Filthy throws both down the freezer hole. Mikey did a great job at evading those, by the way, able to constantly duck between that doorway, evade those nades. But unemployment still end up dying at the very angles they were holding. Viper's able to outshoot them, so Karn bringing back around that obviously should not have gone their way. But Viper's also, despite that utility, still struggling to find a lot of impact beyond destroying the stationary objects. I mean, they got some of the shields. That's a good thing. But I hope we see some of those nades be used a little bit more effectively, especially now on dorms.
Right, this is a site that really that explosive utility is going to come into effect much quicker in the round, especially if Vipers approach this one like we see many teams do. The fact that we see a buck on the board suggests that we are going to see exactly that Vipers are going to try to make their entry through small tower, work their way to the east, and clear out these bottom players to build some vertical pressure of their own. Not the typical top-down pressure that you're going to see on most maps and in most situations, but that bottom-up pressure that can be so lethal if the frag grenades are properly allocated. There are 4 grenades in Viper's Esports pockets here, so they do have plenty of that explosive utility to utilize, and with a skeleton key in pocket, they can simply open that entire floor and force those defenders up above to move into some pretty uncomfortable positions.
I have to see Twist move over there first. He's looking over towards that main door. Instead, right now, opening up Gen. There we go. Now he's starting to join the rest of the team. Creators and Maxley over in showers. 2 defenders they have to worry about, of course, Whitlock and Tra. The minute 15 seconds already gone. They're likely feeling good. They'll want to hold on to this control for quite a long time, especially with that angle made below big window. That's not something you want to give up. That's something that can be very powerful in the late round. But now with Mikey falling on big window, unemployment do know where the take is coming from, and that this angle is important. So Tron and Whitlock are in a difficult position. They need to hang on to this part of the map, but now they've got to take fights with attackers to do it.
Yeah, Whitlock is going to try to make it work, and he will. He'll get stunned, though, and has to be quite careful, because now the pressure is all around him. He'll fall to Filthy's hand as the angle was opened from behind Whitlock, and he simply had no idea. Rios will try to counter that counter by working his way into the attic and maybe finding an angle onto Filthy, but he will think twice and back off towards the objective, trying to play a little bit safer, knowing how vulnerable Tra already is. And I think that's a smart choice. The moment you lose your alibi, I mean, you are in a load of trouble.
4 nades for Vipers. They don't even need to take these fights necessarily. Just toss a nade in through the doorway, try to bank it perhaps, and you could take down Tra. But even if you keep him isolated, he has this angle. You can't hop in big window with Tra still there. He might not be able to move. He might be stuck between a rock and, well, 4 Vipers attackers. You hop in that window. He can still be the thorn in your attacking team side. Raiders now moves on in. Tra takes down 1. That's poison with the case. Now, Vipers need to win this with gunfights, and win it they will. Rios making it a 1v2. He ends up falling to Creators nonetheless. Unemployment, or I guess Vipers, might have been a little complacent with Tra. They're still able to work around him, get enough kills to win the round.
Yeah, dangerous to leave someone downstairs alone like that for so long, especially if you are going to make that entry into the big window where that player in security is watching. But at the end of the day, they did their job, right? They had all their bases covered. They may have lost a body to that position, but they had enough bodies to throw right back at unemployment. And that's what makes an attack like that so successful. In the late game, when you're limited on time, you don't have to worry too much about every single angle or if you don't know where every single player is, as long as you're playing together, you're playing coordinated, and you know what you're doing, which everyone in this lobby does, to be fair. You should be able to get those trades and take that control even when you are, caught off guard at the last minute, just like that. Plus, even if they didn't know he was there, Maybe it was an active decision they made to ignore him and move on up the white stairs and take that control. Because at the end of the day, if you're fighting on the site in, a 4v2, that is certainly going to be more advantageous than, fighting in a, 3v2 or 2v2 if you lose bodies to Tra down below. So well orchestrated from Vipers, and that'll put them up 2-1 again, just back and forth so far in these early rounds.
Unemployment heading back to dorms as well. Not changing their lineup, well, at all. Except I think maybe Karn switched operators? Question mark, but that is a question mark. Still the same setup as well. Tra and Whitlock down below. Employment need to be careful. Vipers seem to have a pretty good handle on this setup previously, but maybe they're just giving Unemployment a new look. Everyone over by Master Bedroom this time instead of starting over in Small Tower. Maybe a good move since they clearly struggled to clear out Tra from security. Don't stake your entire big window play off hopping in big window when you can't deal with the player watching that very angle. So even though it might be an odd rotation, especially after Vipers just won the round on that previous setup, moving over here might be the better move, especially with so much of this explosive utility. Terror drones and frag grenades can make good work of, say, a player like Karn, not only playing behind a shield, but playing inside of Attic. All right, as I say that, Jonah, there he goes.
Yeah, he'll work his way out because, again, the attic wall's been opened up, so that pressure is now building from both sides. But I know you highlighted those Rotero drones, and I've already got to commend Vipers for excellent use of that. Now we've got to commend Mikey for getting that kill fully flashed, by the way. He caught a glimpse of creators on that window before taking that gunfight and getting flashed, and, well, I guess that small glimpse was enough. You won't stay alive in this round much longer, though, because the pressure from below is enough to finish off Mikey for good, but Maxley, at the same time, has also been taken care of. Twist has been cut down to just 1 HP, so right now, this is still heavily in the favor of Unemployment, especially now that Tra gets another. Poison strikes back, but Tra is still on the hunt, and that is 3 kills for him. It is a 1 HP Twist against the world. He's got the diffuser, and he does have plenty of time. A drone in his pocket, 2 flashbangs to burn this Surya gate if he does want to walk in, but at the end of the day, this is a pure and simple crossfire. You just saw how all 3 defenders are watching the very same angle. They know exactly where the Habana is coming from, and they know that there is the tiniest sliver of work left for them to do if they want to win this one. Twist will just send in a flashbang and pray that somebody hops off this angle, because other than that, they will be 3 streams of bullets headed down range. He'll take the fight initially, but it's not looking good regardless with only 20 seconds left. Just biding his time, hoping that someone on Unemployment will take this gunfight and sacrifice themselves to him, but instead it is Brios to finish it off.
Unemployment playing reactive so far to Vipers. Rounds 2 and 4. After losing the previous defense, Unemployment able to win it. Lose basement, win basement, lose dorms, win dorms. This time, sadly for all of us, it wasn't exactly a complex reason why Vipers won that. Tra was down below, in meeting, holding an important angle. He's watching the meeting hatch, in case anyone from Vipers pushes. Gotta worry about Tra. Gotta worry about Tra in that position, because he can, do exactly what happened. Actually vaults in by himself, or walks in by himself, dies to Tra. Nobody's cleared him out. And then at that point, Filthy makes the decision. It's a 3v4, I believe, at that point for Vipers, to solo clear him down below. And Tra is gifted another 1v1. Tra is then gifted another 1v1 later on through the hatch, but at that point, the damage was done. Vipers still had some trouble, especially clearing out Mikey, who killed a very important operator, being creators on that Flores, taking down those Rotero drones. But then Vipers compensate for that by just, again, funneling directly into Tra's line of sight. Not the best attack, but again, they've already proven they can win dorms, and proven that they can win 2 attacks on Oregon. They've done about as much as you could expect at this point, and a lot of this is just for bragging rights.
Well, back and forth right now, Carter, is the pattern we've got in our hands. I like reactive, that word you used, with how Unemployment are kind of adjusting their defenses right now. But at the end of the day, the result is the same, right? We are even through 4 rounds, and we have yet to see either one of these teams chain 2 rounds together back-to-back. We started with Vipers, then Unemployment, then Vipers again, and then Unemployment in that 4th round that we just saw. So heading back to the basement now, Unemployment will hope to break that streak and win a defense on their first attempt. And I guess there's no better time, because most recent time they were down here in the basement, they were able to adjust properly and defend it successfully. Right now, it seems that they are going to rest their hopes on a little bit of an extension here, at least in the form of a Jaeger Whitlock in the meeting room. He is going to start to feel the pressure, though, as the meeting room wall towards tower has now been opened up. So if he wants to take this fight, he's got to be very careful with who's on the other side of that pole. He also has to be careful if he chooses to rotate away, because after all, rotating through split, Filthy is there to greet him.
And greet him he does, Jonah. Greet him he does. Takes down the Jaeger. Not much in terms of utility, but that was the meeting player you were oh so worried about. So we can get focused on the meat and potatoes of this attack, especially now that Tra has retreated down to the basement. You have meeting control, laundry control, security control. That's all well and good. But what the hell is Maxley going to do on that blitz? Is he going to send it in through bunker? Well, it's a blitz on Oregon basement. I would hedge a guess and say that that is what he might be doing. And overall, Viper's likely trying to drop that hatch, push down back tower stairs, and aid Maxley in sending it through that double door. Of course, with 2 smoke canisters remaining and Mikey with a C4, he has to be careful that he doesn't end up falling to any of that utility or the angles. They've made it a 4v4. They're keeping Vipers uncomfortable, and for what is likely going to be a very quick execute, that's exactly where you want them.
Yeah, now that Traders has fallen, you no longer have that tower stairs pressure. It's all going to come on the shoulders of this fast-paced push. Mikey going for the res, but popping up and whipping out the shotgun. A much better choice in that situation. Twist will fall too, and Poison in a 1v2 situation will have to put the team on his back now, as he tries to recover this awkward position in these last few seconds. Players behind him, he does not know where to look. A quick flash will freeze Tra in position, but Poison turns his back. He's guessing. He is all over the place, and it's Tra who will finish it out, it seems, in the end, and Unemployment will finally break that streak we mentioned. They will be the first to take 2 rounds back-to-back.
And that round usually ended in the one of 2 ways a blitz rush usually goes. Either it succeeds or it doesn't. And
Nice.
more often than not, I know, excellent analysis. But more often than not, if it's going to end, and this is the part I was getting to, Jonah, if it is going to end, is usually because that blitz, when they send it up elbow, gets traded out. Because the whole point is you take down the player playing behind that shield. You now have that control that cuts the bomb side in half. Freezer player contested. Laundry rotate player contested. You got to deal with all of that now. Once the blitz falls, and you have Mikey who's able to hold that position, and obviously not help up Karn, but still play behind that shield, there's not much the attack can do besides just trying to win the fights. And when they're hopping down E-box hatch and sending into bunker, and they haven't cleared out elbow, haven't cleared out pillar, freezer player is still alive, there's too many angles to deal with, and they're all pretty much 50-50 engagements. And in this case, Vipers were not lucky at the blackjack table today.
No, they did not get the exact draw that they were looking for, but they've got one more chance to make something happen on the attacking side. Their final attempt here will come on the first time we're seeing this site as well, on Meeting and Kitchen, as they try to make something work. I'd suspect it's going to be a pretty standard tower approach, given the way that we've seen Vipers just enter through this map in the past, but already seeing something that's defying our expectations, moving in through Master pretty quickly at that, not making that initial tower, big tower entry that we have come to expect from them. They may be looking to aggressively clear out these top floor defenders before doing much of anything else.
Know that somebody might be an addict, but of course these mute jammers will be an ever-present issue until Vipers are able to deal with them or work drones around them. They'll just take angles and take positions outside and around these defenders until they can get solid intel in their position. Oh boy, is that a lot of utility that Unemployment have right now. 2 ADSs, like 2 magnets as well, all defending this attic doorway. A lot of utility, and a lot of time they are trying to waste before Vipers just push on in.
Well, yeah, here comes Creators. He will take that fight with the Gone 6 in hand. Didn't want to actually kill Mikey, just wanted to kill Mikey's shield. And hey, he did his job. He still has to deal with a couple other of these defenders, though. Brios is one of them, and he is going to put up quite a fight. He takes down one, Filthy's gone, but finally, he feels the pressure, and that is what will end his life. Mikey not giving up this angle easily, though. He is still going to take this fight. Tra is still here, didn't even notice him, and he's going to start fragging out. Mikey's been felled, sure, but Tra is still here and finally goes down in a hailstorm of bullets, but that returns us to an even 2v2 as Twist secures the trade. Still anyone's game as we cross that minute mark.
Still anyone's game, and we've kind of gone past the point maybe that hard breaching would be... Wait, what? How is Diffuser in sight?
Wait a minute?
How the hell did he get in here? They didn't have hatch control. That wall isn't even open. We're just gonna have to tackle that later on. There's a lot I need to unpack there, but at this point in the 2v2, Vipers have the vertical control. Creators will actively create more, pressuring Karn's position, but with control of that diffuser and Whitlock able to hold that long angle, Vipers have to hope that they can get an angle on one of these two prongs of this crossfire.
Well, Karn is the next player in trouble. The flash will come in, and he has got to tuck tail and run. The thing is, for Vipers, there are only 10 seconds to work with, and they've got to step up. Twist will make the move, but around the corner, shotgun from Karn doesn't even need it because Whitlock does the job from elsewhere. Creators hasn't even dropped the hatch yet, and he is out of time. Unemployment will take 3 rounds in a row to end their defensive half with a bang. That's a 4-2 split from them. And as many questions as are unanswered in that last round about the Vipers' attack, the one thing we do know for a fact is that the Vipers are going to have to make a bit of a comeback now that they switch on to the defensive side.
But seriously, how was Diffuser in sight? Where did he come from? It's befuddling.
It's possible. So Tra was like up above as the castle, and he didn't drop down. He stayed up and died up top. I'm wondering if the player who killed him like immediately dropped the hatch and tried to just go for it all. I don't know.
No, because Poison had Diffuser. He died before Tra died, so Tra still had the hatch. Karn was still down below. I get my only option is either they just let control of that kitchen doorway slip and he crouch walked in there or crouch walked into security. I am just bamboozled. That Poison... Okay, our observer just told us Poison walked in from dying. Got it. That solves that, because that was confusing. Either way, beyond that, a few promising rounds from Vipers, but overall, Jonah, I have to say, I've been quite pleased with Unemployment's defenses. They played their positions, they played them with confidence. Vipers also haven't looked terrible, but for Unemployment probably having the most question marks going into this game, I actually feel quite comfortable after their defenses. We'll just have to see how their attacks go.
Right, and attacking is a very different game. Not only do we know this in general, but from what we've seen today, a team that can defend a map extraordinarily well doesn't mean they can attack it well at all. So I suppose we'll put Unemployment to the test right here, and we'll see what they have in store on their very first attempt here in round number 7. But I do already like the progress that both Brios and Whitlock are comfortable making. They are already working their way up towards Z, these freezer stairs, and they're working their way through kitchen. So a lot of control being established early. They haven't pushed too far either. They are only taking the control around the periphery of this first floor that they know for a fact is safe and secure. They're not taking any unnecessary risks just yet.
Not only that, a minute in, all 10 drones... Man, drone got shot right as I started saying that. 9 drones still, though, are alive with a minute 15 in. That's what we like to see. One thing that the desk talked about is that a lot of the players in Unemployment, especially Whitlock, playing these entry operators, have been struggling to actually get man advantages or to get opening kills. Right now, not exactly the players we're focusing on, but it is Unemployment trying to get a man advantage. Dealing with this big tower player, it's not going great. Filthy cuts down Mikey on the rappel, a nade has been used, and a player lost. Finally, one lands. You trade out a Malusi for a Nomad, and a minute and 45 seconds wasted. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that on an Oregon basement realm, if I do say so myself, Jonah.
Oh, 100% agree. And I will add, wasted the nades too. And that's honestly even bigger part of it. Yeah, you've taken down a body. No more air jabs can be deployed all over the map. But now Brios doesn't have those nades. I think Try used that nade elsewhere, so it was devoted to a different position. But, I mean, same idea, right? That utility, the manpower, and the time has become a serious problem for unemployment. And Vipers, for the most part, can be pretty comfortable down below. So what started off pretty well for unemployment took a sharp left turn after Filthy did a stellar job up in T3. But with 30 seconds left, we'll see how unemployment approaches this one. They've now got some manpower outside of bunker, opening up that double door to try to force these players out of pillar here. But Creators, he is not going to back off easily, nor is Twist. Playing close in Harry Potter, refusing to allow that player on the tower stairs to come down safely. There it goes, right on cue. Whitlock is taken care of, and Tra will fall soon after. Karn getting lit up here is going to be a serious problem for them. Twist and Maxley, they've only got to find one more, and it's going to be no problem for them to clean it up. Stellar defense there from Vipers. Got to give it up to Filthy for that early T3 performance.
Just classic issue with unemployment. A lot of time spent doing things that do help their overall chances, but don't directly help them mounting and execute. A minute 45, as you said, wasted by Filthy in Big Tower. He's Malusi. All his utility was placed likely at like 15 seconds into the prep phase. Not exactly, but pretty much. His entire job there is just to waste time. He does gracefully and very narrowly evade a nade, so unemployment almost were able to clear him out without losing a body. That doesn't happen. Instead, a good majority of the round is wasted by unemployment getting fixated on this player. And even while that was happening, and even while they had 9 drones on the board, no work was being done in other parts of the map. They didn't actually start opening any hatches until Filthy was cleared, and as far as I'm aware, he was the only one off-site, or at least actively threatening the attack in some way, shape, or form. So once they kill the Malusi, they gotta open up the hatches, gotta start nading positions down below, which there are already a very small amount of because of how much was spent clearing out that Malusi. Wasn't really a lot for unemployment to do at that point, because even with all those drones, they'd be scrambling for information, making up for lost time. And it's not the greatest thing to see as their first round on Oregon attack. But then again, it is Oregon attack. That thing can happen. Let's see how unemployment is able to recover from that as Vipers move to dorms.
Yeah, shifting up to dorms is not a surprise here. That's been the relative theme of Oregon, at least in this matchup, not today as a whole. We have seen some surprising picks. We saw Dining coming out as the first site a couple of games ago, so you never know. These teams are showing us that they can mix it up, but here, the Vipers are going to keep it pretty standard. And, you know, they're running with a setup that we have seen several times today already, emphasizing that pressure down below. We see Filthy setting up those mute jammers and likely setting up a little hidey hole for himself in security, giving himself a couple of rotation options. And, of course, you've also got, right, Creators, who we just saw a moment ago, doing a bit of early pressure out towards that main door. Playing here in meeting, he's got a rotation down below into E-Box when he feels that pressure. But for now, he can play as aggressive as he would like because unemployment looks like they are primarily concerned with this top floor first.
Understandable. You'd want to get some of your early pressure onto that top floor. Maybe push Twist back or at least make him a little bit uncomfortable. Be someone inside a trophy as well. You can see Vipers rotating utility to make Twist's position a little bit more palatable, a little bit easier, even setting up some more ADSs to help with his teammate. First nade goes in, bam, Maxley pushed back. Nice work from unemployment. Pushing that Aruni all the way back into the site very early on. And now if they want to rotate and start focusing on that attic side, they have the capital, the time, and the utility to do it, especially if Karn is able to open this wall very quick. Would be a solid attack in the first half of the round.
Oh, but you've got 2 defenders who've worked their way to potential run-out positions. Filthy Showers Corridor, Creators bottom of White Stairs. Each have a window to launch themselves out of if they feel like it. A little late at this point for that kind of play because Mikey is the only player even on the south side of the building right now. Instead, unemployment have turned their attention to attic and to actually getting up through Trophy and through Master at this point because they've already made most of the progress that they would need to make. You see Poison starting to feel the heat here. Twist knows that attack is building, so he's trying to send a couple of bullets down range to slow that down if he can.
Pushed the Attic player back, pushed the trophy player out. There's no one watching white at the moment, but more importantly, bedroom wall, it's not open. That exothermic is stuck right now, but finally goes to detonate it, and goes maybe not. I think an impact trick. There we go. Okay, I thought I heard him click it, but there we go. Wall now open. 40 seconds left. Only issue, 5v5. Look at all these angles held by Vipers. One on that concrete door right there. Twist as well, who can support him with a crossfire if they try to push in from Trophy. They have to win fights with one of those two players, or else this will be a Vipers round.
Oh, Filthy is still down below as well. Poison will be the first to strike, and Maxley on the follow-up gets two. Karn, his leg is exposed as the Razor Bloom finishes him off, and it is chaos on the site for Vipers. They are looking good. Mikey and Brios, the last two standing, and look who's waiting right around the corner. It's Filthy, but you didn't even need him, because all those players you mentioned, Carter, that were just patient, holding angles up above on that dorm site, they did their job to perfection. We're tied up at 4. Vipers kicking the defensive half off to a great start.
And Unemployment got a lot of control they needed in that round. Attic player, as I said, pushed back. Still playing behind a shield, but at least can't contest that wall a whole lot. Bedroom wall opened up. Trophy player pushed back. Again, a lot of the bare minimum that we needed, specifically Unemployment needed, was there. It was just everything beyond that to make it so you aren't relying off of just swinging and taking gunfights to decide whether you win the round or not. That was lacking. Again, for both these teams now, and Unemployment being a big issue, if they're worried about taking gunfights, some more nades, able to land in maybe that concrete doorway, or maybe all the way back where Twist was playing, that could help expedite the process, make it a lot easier, especially if they're going to go for effectively just a clear from Trophy and Master Bedroom. Unemployment so far have just been trying to win this off of swinging and taking fights, and Vipers are answering them every time they do when it hits to be that late round.
Well, it is anyone's game right now. It's a question of, can Unemployment adapt quick enough to what Vipers are showing us on the defensive side? This is as good of a chance as any now that we've switched up to our tertiary objective of meeting in kitchen here. But Vipers still looking strong, still playing confident. We saw an early challenge over on that small tower side. Twist now, though, taking a bit of damage here. He's got to be careful about where he positions. Flashes are going to come in, and that deployable shield is no more. Has some good use of utility, will not only force Twist out, but will likely force him and Maxley, who's also up above, to play a little bit more patient for the remainder of this round.
Unemployment will assume that control once the Vipers players vacate the premises. They've moved up to showers at this point. Not much more beyond that. Bedroom wall also opened up, but not much farther beyond that, or Trophy. Again, a lot of useful control and angles opened up, but we need to see a little bit more. This time, not in the late round, but in the early round, to make players like Maxley really feel like they're in trouble. And now, Brios, moving up white, this is what they needed to get another angle into the mix.
Trying to get this crossfire established, choke out these defenders so they can't rotate away like they'd like to do, I'm sure. But right now, not enough pressure to actually force Twist to move around. Filthy has actually repositioned and now supports Maxley on this attic hold. And while there may be angles held by Unemployment, they haven't pushed them yet. Instead, they are going to completely adapt and go for a direct attack. It's going to get completely stopped in its tracks by Creators. Whitlock gets one kill back, but that diffuser's dropped, and he's got an opponent right on the other side of that split door. Mikey is able to get another, but that is going to leave Whitlock alone and nowhere to go. Well played there in the end by Vipers, who read into that attack beautifully. Creators was ready, and he shut that down. That was a clutch double kill to seal the round.
So Unemployment, as I said before, the foundation, it's set. Showers control. Good. Bedroom wall opened up. trophy control established. Unemployment run out of two things: utility and drones. You know, much like the economical problems that Unemployment have suffered from as a roster going all the way back to last year, they suffered from as an adult roster. I guess they've just inherited it from Karn, this history of leading these teams. They run low on drones and utility, and it's been the consistent problem for their attack so far. They're forced to rotate down into a rush, and with that low drone count, aren't aware of a lot of the angles held by Vipers. They push in, end up dying to the side players. I wish there was more I could say, Jonah, but I feel like a lot of these games have just been very simple. A lot of these rounds have just been very simple as to why Unemployment are losing it. Not enough angles, not enough utility, and more often than not, a combination of both.
Yeah, and it's that combination that, I mean, honestly, trying to think for Unemployment here what it is they need to do. And, well, maybe it is for Mikey just a quick entry into the building. They do not want to allow Filthy to take up that T3 position again. So I suppose the Amaru is one way to counter that. Immediately, Mikey has taken that control. So Filthy can no longer rotate there. Instead, he is going to choose to rotate back to the site. Unclear if he was going to go back to T3 again. It looked like he was in position to do that. Either way, Unemployment have immediately quashed the biggest problem that they had with their last basement attack. They should, in theory, be able to go a lot more direct here. Not only is there no T3 presence, but there is no roam presence at all, it seemed. I think all 5 defenders, yeah, there it is. All 5 defenders are just sitting down below, even before 1 minute has even transpired.
And it's not flashy, but Jonah, I love that adaptation from Vipers. You want to answer me a question real quick?
Sure.
Aside from IF, what has been what we have called one of the slowest teams in all of Challenger League?
Oh, I mean, Unemployment, I think.
Of course, it's been Unemployment. So what do? Don't give them an opportunity for a pick. Even if it's Big Tower and Waste a minute 45 seconds, Unemployment are still going to go slow. They're opening up the hatches at a minute 30. They are starting to get some useful control. But play that Warden. If they throw in any flashes to try to make the gunfights easier, you can peer on through. The nades haven't been landing for Unemployment either. Just let themselves stall out. Let themselves take this control. And if they want to make it a round where you have to win 50-50 gunfights to win, Vipers, hell, we'll just bet on our players to win it.
Well, like you said, just betting on those gunfights early, Creators will, I guess, technically win the first, but Mikey gets picked back up by Brios, who was supporting him right behind, but then Brios walks into the same angle and gets downed immediately after. Now, he'll get picked back up, so we are still on even footing, but now 2 players have been downed, picked back up, and are on incredibly low HP at this point. Now, Creators, his deployable shield taken care of. That'll free up Freezer a little bit, give Unemployment some more room to work with, but still so dangerous because Twist is sneaking around up above. Where did he come from? Where did he go? That's triple kill for him, and Mikey's gone as well. Karn is now the last player standing against 5. He will deny the flawless by taking down Creators for good measure, but other than that, that's going to be the quad kill for Twist, and a beautiful way to cap off what has been an incredible defensive half so far. They now put themselves on match point.
Drones, man, once again, lacking intel. Gotta say, Unemployment didn't get any kills, but at least we saw the utility land where it needed to. Destroying that shield and long, forcing Creators off that angle. That's good for the Freezer players. That's good for the Laundry players. Again, it's an okay foundation for Unemployment. Not great, but certainly not terrible. But as I believe either Maxley or Twist eloquently put in chat, where the flank watch at? Where was it? I don't know. Unemployment, I mean, we're down to a fairly low drone count. Unsurprising for Unemployment so far, not only in this game, but in Stage 3 as a whole. Just let Twist retake Freezer Hatch. Probably just rotated up backstairs, rotated into security, and I guess that was that. Match point now for Vipers. They go back to dorms, and Unemployment have not won a single round that was not on defense.
I think we did foresee this a little bit, Carter. We did say that even if you can defend, it doesn't mean you can attack. And I think
It's true.
Unemployment so far, they have fit the bill for a team that cannot attack. Right now, we have not seen much success at all. I mean, especially in that last round, nearly flawless by Vipers. And that strategy, the simply sit back and wait for unemployment to come to you strategy, I mean, that's got to feel so good when it works. When you make the call to play extremely passive and you just tear the attack apart. Now, Mikey is trying a little bit of that strategy here. He is trying to wait for creators to come to him. And his patience, well, it may be about to pay off. Creators has no idea that someone is just going to be lying on the ground outside watching that doorway. And certainly for creators, that cannot feel good. But I guess for Vipers, they still want more. Filthy still wants to get aggressive. They're not done yet.
I love that from unemployment. It's not necessarily flank watch. That's a very common run out. That and the white window. Just go prone. Watch it. If Vipers jump out, good. If not, and you spend a minute 15 out there, hey, you get peace of mind at a bare minimum. You're Nomad. That's your job. Good work from unemployment. Covering all potential bases, and also for Vipers, now losing the Warden. An operator that, even a year ago, I might not have really noted as an important pick. But now with the inability to see through those flashbangs that unemployment might put in, and also losing that MPX with the 1.5, that great gun, could still be problematic for Vipers, depending on the position creators would have normally played in the setup. Unemployment have also now opened up bedroom wall a whole hell of a lot earlier than they had before. Main issue, though, Jonah, it's only that bedroom wall and only that trophy door. They do have someone rotating to big window, though, and that might be enough to take what has normally been a very one-dimensional execute for unemployment and make it a lot more manageable if Mikey isn't killed.
Well, here comes Karn right on cue. He's going to step up and make the move, but a well-placed toxic smoke. That's got to mean the end of Karn's life, right? Right? Yes, just in the nick of time. That'll take care of him. Brios will pick up a kill, though. Great coverage, and this is still anyone's game. He'll now work his way up the white stairs and try to make a move from behind. Vipers trying to stay patient, but down a body. It's going to be very tough to hold this off for long. Traw's going to try to make that certain, going for this defuse again. Well, he's also going to be smoked off and killed. Maxley now, he's got to come in clutch because he's stuck in a corner. Attackers coming from everywhere. It is all up to the smoke, who has already come incredibly clutch this round. He's going to have to do it all himself. Spots the back of Mikey and finishes him off, but two more players to find, and this smoke is just a little too late. It was well placed, but Brios had already done the majority of the defuse. Poison now finishes it off with a quad.
Oh, no.
This is absolutely winnable for him, but Whitlock is outside and playing patient. He's just gonna run at him with a shotgun here, going all the way through. Master has no idea where to look, so he's gonna head back to the diffuser to tease this. Whitlock is gonna have to step up. Poison hears that, so backs off. Now he once again charges with that shotgun, but cannot avoid the pre-fire from Whitlock. That is very well played from the Zofia, denying the ace clutch, only allowing the quad and the near clutch from Vipers.
It was almost a great play from Poison. But again, I've been talking a lot about unemployment, but you have two players die to a toxic canister. Poison was not even remotely pressured. I thought that maybe, I just kind of assumed that they might have an answer for Poison, as silly as it sounds in hindsight. When I saw Brios go down below, I was like, oh, that's what he's probably going to try to do. But no, he just sat below Karn the whole time. They just assumed the bomb would go off without a hitch. Karn thinks he has the time to stick it, unfortunately miscalculates, ends up dying to the smoke canister. But then Brios is still just chilling. He instead goes up white stairs. I guess they were running low on time, but were they really? They had a minute left. Mikey can probably call that there's someone inside of dorms, especially once they know where the toxic canister has come from. It just caused so much more headache for unemployment, and while they're able to win it out, it's still Poison in dorms who almost ace clutches the round and catches not one but two players off guard. I mean, for such a solid operator, you can probably bank on being in that position, especially after he's killed two of your players with a toxic canister. Man, I cannot believe that unemployment almost let that one slip away.
Nearly did, but they still got the round win at the end of the day. That's all that matters. They
That is
probably agreed with you, though. They agreed with you, clearly, because they took a timeout. They didn't want to mess around with that kind of error again, knowing how lethal it could be and almost was in that round that, well, could have been the end of this Oregon matchup. But Unemployment will hang in there a little bit longer and send us to the final round of regulation, round number 12, where they need one more to send us to overtime and guarantee at least 1 point out of this matchup. It'd be great to, try to finish off these last few playdays of the stage on the right foot if they can clutch this out and claw it all the way back. But Vipers are keeping things a little loose, right? They're not going to dorms again. They're not trying to hope that Poison can come in extra clutch this time, or hope that Unemployment make a similar mistake. Going back down to Meeting and Kitchen to see if they can repeat some of their success from down below.
And the rest of Unemployment will start trying to clear out this bedroom side, armory, and all that. Twist, of course, up above. Not just holding inside of dorms, not playing super conservatively, instead trying to find some of these drones, deny some of this intel for Unemployment. Not so successful so far. Only one drone shot by Vipers. But if they still waste time, hell, that would probably be a victory that they could write home about. Minute in now. Unemployment don't have to worry about opening that wall. We haven't seen much of a foundation laid yet. They have 2 nades, plenty of burn to deal with the shield. We have to see them actually do it at this point, Jonah, because almost half the round now gone. 15 seconds will have reached that mark. Still waiting for them to really make any move whatsoever.
Right, we've talked about how slow this attack can be, Carter, and with an extension like this on the top floor, you cannot afford to dilly-dally. You can't procrastinate. You've got to move in, because if you do, you're going to start to get picked apart. Filthy will step up and do the job beautifully. Maxley is still here, and he'll just narrowly avoid that nade, but now he's exposed, so he's going to get aggressive. Good shot onto Karn, returning this one to a 3v5. Unemployment, they haven't even looked at the bomb site yet, and they're already falling apart. Rio's trying to recover this by just walking right into Maxley's open arms. Is that really the solution here? Tra's the last alive, and that is it. Just like that, Twist will finish it off, and Unemployment never got past the top floor clear to even get anywhere close in that round. 7-5 is a close scoreline, but that last round and this entire half was Vipers Esports dominance.
And overall, it was a solid game from Vipers. Of course, they had some struggles on their attacks, but it's overall a solid game, as you could hope for on an Oregon attack. And Unemployment had some solid defense. So for the first half, I thought that this could be a solid game from both teams. We then swap halves, and we do not have a solid game for both teams. Vipers played the game they played in front of them. They played their setups. Maybe, maybe they get a little too over-aggressive sometimes or something like that. But overall, they just had their setup, they had their strategy, and they played it. And Unemployment, it never even really felt like they got to the point of countering it completely. Maybe they make a step here or some progress here, but there was always something. And I feel like that last round summarized it perfectly. Unemployment had a lot of problems with utility. They tried to throw 2 frag grenades at Maxley, one caught by an ADS, another literally caught in the wall. By the time they go for the clear, minute 40 left, down to 3 or 2 drones. Not something you'd exactly want going to clear out a roam on any site, for that matter. And then once that happens, then it results in them trying to take 50-50 gunfights, face checking, swinging. Doesn't work out. Those 3 things, whether they all happened at once or happened one in each separate round, were issues Unemployment had, and it all came to a head in round 12. Now we get a 7-5 victory for Vipers.
Well, for the final time today, Carter, we will send it back to the desk to wrap up what has been a successful Playday number 7.
I've got to agree with Jonah. Successful indeed. And you know what? For a game that maybe didn't have as much allure or as much hype around it as this 4th game, I think it really played out well to close out the day. I think we got a lot more out of this matchup than someone might have perceived. And Connor, looking at Vipers, we know that they're better defensively than they are in attack, and they actually started off quite strong in those early rounds on their attack, but it did start to slow down for them. They started to kind of lose their pacing, but luckily they have that quite strong defense of theirs.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing for their attacking side, I don't want to necessarily gloss over it. If they don't give a 1v3 to Karn, then They have a 3-3 split. And arguably that should never happen again because guess what? He's 28. He is 28
Is
years
he?
old. You can even see it in the bottom right corner right there on our final wonderful little replay. But looking forward onto the defensive side for Vipers, they definitely were a lot more comfortable in what they were going for. You know, I mean, granted, it's Oregon defense, but how hard is it truly? The map still, no matter what, it's still going to be a little bit easier to defend. And Karn and Co., that brought, pardon me, I always say Karn and Co., Unemployment, they have always kind of historically struggled on the attacking side, you know, 28%, 26%, whatever attacking win rate. It's just going to get compounded, especially when you have people like Maxley, who had a relatively slow attacking start, all of a sudden popped off and ended up 12-7. Twist 13-6. Almost everybody getting double digits except for Poison down at the bottom. But he said it in the interview yesterday of, hey, if they get to me, then the round's probably lost already.
Well, the one thing I also wanted to touch on is looking over at Unemployment. They had that fairly good defensive half, as we saw Tanner. And then on attack, I mean, although you're looking at a 5-1, or I guess 1-5, you know, flip on the attack, there were a lot of rounds that I felt that they were a lot closer than that overall score might suggest.
You can say that, especially that I think it was like a 1v5 that Poison had to deal with that he almost won on the attack half there on top floor when he managed to kill 2 people with the smoke cancers. The Karn didn't look bad. Like, their drone work was pretty good. They were getting good map control. They just weren't able to get it going in the way that they needed. I think the big area that they kind of lacked on their attacking half was in their entry picks. They weren't getting a lot of good picks and being able to translate those picks into meaningful results. So when you're playing on the back foot, it's like extra pressure. You only have so many like things that allow you to catch up, like grenades and explosives. I think that ultimately is what sealed the deal here. But like I said in the pregame, this was going to be a very close match, and you know, Unemployment put up, and they showed up a really good game today.
We do have Filthy ready for the interview, so we're going to flip to him, and we'll come back after to wrap up the day. Filthy, big win for you guys. I think you're sitting at 3-3 on the stage now. Getting that mic working? Getting in a comfortable spot?
I'm trying to angle it with the setup here.
That looked like a fun game. Did you guys have fun playing it? There was a lot happened in that match.
Yeah, we definitely have taken the approach of, you know, changing up our entry points a little bit, being more flexible in terms of, you know, getting in the building, you know, getting our executes, finding the weak spots, hitting it hard. You know, it's been working out for us the past 2 games, and we're hoping we can keep building on it, and we'll see how it goes the next 2 games that we have left.
Now, you guys are a much stronger defensive team than attacking team. So when you come out of an attacking half to start it off in a 2-4, is that obviously you want to come out with the highest score possible, but is that all right with you knowing how strong you guys are on D and knowing that you have that opportunity to wrap it up?
So obviously 2-4, you know, it's kind of your average score line on an attack versus Oregon defense. We definitely felt like we should have had more attacks there. I felt like we left some on the board there. But overall, I feel like, you know, we were very confident in our defenses. You know, we're a little bit more looser on defense on this map. These guys played really slow, so we were like, okay, they earned a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you know, droning the map. So it's just like we're just gonna hunker down, eat drones, sit in rat spots, and you know, when they come down and execute, we're ready.
And finally, just one last quick question. What are the goals for you guys as a team and as individuals as you guys close out the year with the last few games? Like, what's your approach to everything?
I mean, obviously, we want to finish strong. We want to win the next 2 games. We want to, you know, end in the top 4 area. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're working for. So, you know, obviously, every day is a goal to get better, learn new things, and just become, you know, better players at the end of the day. And just and that's all we strive to do.
All right, well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for your time, Filthy, and best of luck with your last few games at the stage.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Overall, guys, entertaining day. I'm not gonna. I don't think we had necessarily the flashiest of days. I remember there was a couple I think it was like Playday number 5 was like a wild day, very, very good. But I felt like we got a lot of well-rounded Siege, Tanner, and we got to see a lot